Hello everyone, and thanks once again for joining us here for Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm David Percy. Up first, first graphic here. Somebody had asked me if the tripod in the Nana fell over and the ice classic ended, and the answer to that is yes, it had. In fact, it moved Monday night and stopped the clock at the winning time of 6:47 p.m. Alaska Standard Time. So if that was the time you picked, go collect your winnings. And from there, moving on to the Alaska breakup map. Got an improved version here from the one I showed yesterday. We've got, you can see the Tanana River mostly open, or some open for the Tanana River right through here, if you can see the cursor, right out to Tanana where it intersects the Yukon there. And the Yukon River, still all ice. A couple of spots here where it opens up, especially downstream here in the Yukon Delta. Get some open areas there. And then the Kuskokwim River has the flood watch for Crooked Creek, and that's out through Sunday evening for possible ice jam flood warning there. And that's the only, that is a flood watch, not a warning. That's the only watch, warning, or advisory out. As for fire danger, no significant fire danger yet. Starting to see some lightning strikes, just isolated today, and had a few yesterday actually in the southern Susitna Valley. But right now, no significant fire danger around the state. And then from there, we'll go to hazardous weather graphics. And there are no watches, warnings, or advisories out anywhere in the state for the next couple of days. And looking good storm-wise. Pretty calm conditions, high pressure dominating the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. But over the top of that high, a storm will be rolling out of the Russian Far East and spreading some wind, rain, and snow into the northern Bering Sea, Seward Peninsula, and northwest coast. Let's see, starting on Saturday. Otherwise, let's keep going here into satellite images. You can see low pressure, not all that strong, dropping southward there from the Pribilof Islands in toward the eastern Aleutians today, bringing some scattered precipitation in the form of rain or snow, but amounts are pretty light. A little bit more of a wind producer than precipitation producer there, with winds gusting to 30 miles an hour out of the northeast at St. Paul Island. Peak wind gust there. Peak wind gust at Atka Island of 38 miles an hour out of the west-northwest, indicating a low center to the west of them, obviously. And then northwest gust 41 miles an hour at Nikolsky, there on Unimak Island on the west end. And that system will be continuing to drop southeastward tonight, and the winds will gradually diminish there, and whatever shower activity will tend to end later this evening, overnight tonight, and into tomorrow. Otherwise, some scattered showers early on over the Panhandle. Amounts not all that heavy. Wrangell at 4/100ths of an inch, Skagway 6/100ths of an inch, I believe Juneau about 3/100ths of an inch. And those showers looked like they ended early this morning. It's kind of a dry afternoon, some partial clearing there. Kodiak, though, picked up 2/10ths of an inch of precipitation with that low center to the east of them in the southwest Gulf of Alaska, continuing to circulate some moisture into the island. Light rain throughout the afternoon today, morning hours and afternoon. At times, kind of an intermittent light rain condition. Winds not all that bad, occasionally gusting up to 20 miles an hour or so out of the northeast. Otherwise, again, about 2/10ths of an inch there. And Yakutat had some shower activity with about 1/10 of an inch of precipitation. On the chart today, some isolated lightning strikes showing up in the central interior and over in the over toward the Dawson area, more or less, there southeast of Eagle. Nothing widespread yet, but probably will be a few more here before the afternoon and evening's over. We get into that time of year now. Otherwise, scattered showers across southern Alaska, and then areas of light snow and flurries, eastern Arctic coast into the North Slope. Those are pretty darn light. And then that low tracking southeastward over the eastern Aleutians, bringing the gusty winds and scattered shower conditions there. That's about it. No big significant storms showing up or in the offing here. That low continues to move south of the Alaska Peninsula tonight, so wind and precipitation decreasing there for the Fox Islands and the Alaska Peninsula with high pressure, basically dominating the Bering Sea and the Aleutians for clearing with light wind conditions, light winds over the interior with isolated showers. You can see along that trough axis in the central interior, and some scattered shower activity possible again over the Panhandle, really more miss than hit. As far as that goes, that maybe on the north coast there, a little bit of that moisture streaming in from that system east of Kodiak, but that'll keep the showers going over Kodiak Island tonight, or intermittent periods of light rain, cloudy skies, maybe some fog, and reduced visibilities at times along the eastern coast. Otherwise, for Friday, still scattered showers, Kodiak Island, with that low holding in place, continuing to weaken. A day much like today over the central and southern interior of the state. Panhandle, maybe a little bit better chance of some shower activity again. There is some of that moisture works in off the Pacific there. And no change up over the eastern Arctic coast, North Slope. Still a risk of some snow shower activity there. Very light, more flurry-like. And some sunshine over the western interior. High pressure, a lot of clearing and light winds over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And you can see out there over the Russian Far East system pushing eastward. They're coming over the top of that ridge. Pushes right onto the east on Saturday, bringing increased winds and snow and rain. That'll push into the St. Lawrence Island area and the Bering Strait and move into the Seward Peninsula probably by morning. And that'll push into the Kobuk Valley by afternoon with the warm front. And so it looks like periods of snow and gusty winds on the western Arctic coast into the western Brooks Range. Otherwise, the eastern interior, scattered showers. And again, for the Alaskan Range, Copper River Basin, and into the central interior as well. White Mountains, any one of the taller clouds that develop could work into an isolated thunderstorm or two. Nothing widespread at this point in time. And the Panhandle, partly sunny skies with light winds. Same thing for the North Gulf Coast, partly to mostly sunny. Kenai Peninsula, mostly sunny. Kodiak Island, mostly sunny. Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, Kuskokwim Valley, mostly sunny. Lows tonight, 10 to 15, Arctic coast and North Slope, upper teens to lower 20s in the Brooks Range, and then the lower 30s south of the Brooks Range to mid 30s in the Kuskokwim Valley and Bristol Bay, and mid to upper 30s for south central Alaska, 30 to 35 in the Copper River Basin, and upper 30s for the Panhandle, lower 30s for the Aleutians, mid 20s for the Pribilofs. Highs tomorrow edging above the freeze point there for St. Lawrence Island, mid 30s for the Pribilofs, upper 30s to lower 40s for the Aleutians, 40 to 45 for the Alaska Peninsula, 50 to 55 from Bristol Bay right up into the interior valleys of Alaska, as well as the Susitna-Matanuska Valley, Copper River Basin, Kenai Peninsula out along the Cook Inlet coastline, upper 40s, otherwise mid 50s inland, and 50 to 55 over the Panhandle, and lower to mid 20s for the Arctic coast, upper 20s to mid 30s for the North Slope into the Brooks Range. Lows Saturday morning, teens, Arctic coast and North Slope, 30 to 35, much of interior Alaska to upper 30s south of the Alaska Range, but upper 20s in the Copper River Basin, upper 30s for the Panhandle, lower 30s out over the Aleutians. Highs 50 to 55, interior valley areas, as well as the Susitna Valley, Kenai Peninsula.
Hi everyone, I'm Jess Sano with the Alaska Pacific River Forecast Center, here to give your weekly Alaska breakup outlook and update. We have an active flood watch on Crooked Creek right now, so if you are in that area on the Kuskokwim, be flood ready. There are 3 components to consider when determining breakup. That's ice thickness and strength, snowpack, and spring weather patterns. Late April and early May temperatures will control snowmelt rates, thermal condition of the ice, and the type of breakup, whether that's mechanical or thermal. Current conditions as of May 1st from the NRCS indicate that we have a well above average snowpack statewide and in the Yukon Territory. This means that we can expect high water from snowmelt, and the timing will vary depending on the location on the river. Right now, we are expecting localized rises along the Chena due to snowmelt and high water possibly on the Taylor Highway due to rainfall. Previous month's average temperatures were well above normal in western Alaska. This led to some thermal ice decay in our lower and lower Yukon and Kuskokwim River deltas, and they were well below normal in eastern Alaska, which means that our snowpack has not had a lot of time to melt or begun melting. Again, our probability of snowmelt flooding for most of the state is above average, indicating our probability of an ice jam is also above average. The North Slope and the Copper River Basin are in the average category. Our overall 2022 trending has improved because of our past temperatures, so conditions are improving on the lower Cusco and on the Yukon, but we are still waiting on our upper reaches to be melting out. As of May 4th, Crooked Creek has an active flood watch out. We are seeing the Buckland, Tanana, Nenana, Cusco, and parts of the Yukon with some open areas and leads. The Nushagak and the Chena are mostly open, and our northern rivers are mostly ice. This graphic is updated all day, every day, 7 days a week. So to see our current conditions as of now, go to www.weather.gov/APRFC. We are expecting breakup to be later than normal, and that is what we are observing so far. Recent breakups are the Chena at Fairbanks on April 30th, on the Tanana at Northway on April 27th, Nenana on May 2nd, and 40 Mile River on May 3rd. Our upcoming temperature forecast for Eagle, we are forecasting that our temperatures are going to be within our normal, and that is this brownish line here. So you can see that a lot of our temperatures are in that lower end of normal, but still within the parameters. Fairbanks is showing similar signs as Eagle, that we are expecting some lower temperatures, but nothing extreme yet. McGrath showing the same thing. They're dipping a little bit outside of normal, getting a little colder. And same with Bethel, kind of in that same general trend as all the other locations, that on the colder side of normal. So taking a look at our webcams in the Yukon watershed, here is the Tanana River at Nenana on May 3rd. This was the day after the tripod broke, so congratulations to any of those winners. The Chena River at Fairbanks, this is from May 4th. You can see that it's pretty open, which is why we are expecting that if there is any snowmelt flooding or any snowmelt, it may cause a rise in that river. The Yukon River at Eagle, we're seeing a little bit of a lead. There's been some decay along a lot of the outsides of these channels, and same as Yukon River at Galena. The Kuskokwim River at Sleep Mute, we can see, again, some leads opening, especially near the banks of these rivers. And here is the Kuskokwim River at Bethel. Looking like things are just starting to open. Luckily, in most of these earlier melts, we are seeing that things are trending a little bit more thermal and going as well as we could hope right now. Just a reminder, a flood warning means to take action. Hazardous flooding is imminent or already happening. Flood watch, which is what we are seeing right now on Crooked Creek, means be prepared. Conditions are favorable for a specific flood or hazard to occur. And a flood advisory is just be aware this may cause significant inconvenience for you. So make sure you are aware of these different warnings, watches, and advisories and what they mean for you and your area. Our Riverwatch team has been flying. Right now they're along the Kuskokwim, so check out our Facebook for daily photos from those flights, or go to www.weather.gov/APRFC/geophoto to view any of our flights. They are tagged along a map, and so you can see exactly where these photos have been taken. We are expecting to fly the Upper Yukon May 9th, or starting on May 9th. This is conditions dependent. Also, we have a Civil Air Patrol flight scheduled for tomorrow, so keep an eye out for the results from those. So most importantly, we need your observations. Anytime you are along one of these major rivers, please give us an email at nws.ar.aprfc@noaa.gov. Visit our website. There's a link to email us an observation or give us a call at 907-266-5160 or 1-800-847-1739. And again, follow us on Facebook at U.S. National Weather Service Alaska, where we upload these Riverwatch flights every day and also give out any warnings or watches that we may have advised. And also follow us on Twitter at NWSAPRFC. And again, check out our website anytime you want to see the most current conditions. We keep that updated 7 days a week and report any observations on there. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Stay safe. I'll see you next week.
May the 4th be with you, Star Nerds. I'm Trace, and in honor of Luke Skywalker's double-sunned home planet, let's find an optical double star system in our own skies. Hit the darkness any night this week just after dark and face north to find the Big Dipper in Ursa Major. Look for the star at the bend in the Big Dipper's handle. That's Mizar, and if you look closely, you'll see a small, faint companion star named Alcor. Together, they're called the Horse and Rider and were often used as a test of a person's eyesight. In Star Wars, Tatooine's a desert planet with 2 suns. It's called a binary star system. Mizar and Alcor aren't in the same system. They just appear close together in the sky. But most points of light we see are multi-star systems with 2 or more stars. The Kepler Space Telescope actually found an exoplanet orbiting 2 stars in 2011, but that can't be Tatooine because it's in a galaxy far, far away. Keep looking up.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Flying weather, you can see some IFR there from the North Slope southwestward across the west coast area, Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, southward to Nunivak Island, and then into Bristol Bay, north shore of the Alaska Peninsula. That same area of IFR extends eastward there across Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, up into southern Cook Inlet and Iliamna Lake to the southern Alaska Range, and also including Kachemak Bay, Resurrection Bay, southern Kenai Peninsula, and then eastward across the Gulf into the coastal areas, central coast of the Panhandle, but inland VFR for the Panhandle, a swath of VFR from the upper Yukon, Porcupine River areas, right on down across the central interior to the Kuskokwim Bay coastline. And for the afternoon, IFR, Arctic Coast North Slope, extending across the DeLong Mountains there in western Brooks Range into the Kobuk Valley, Selawik Valley, and Kotzebue, near Kotzebue or just to the east. VFR, though, for the northwest coast, including Cape Lisburne. Seward Peninsula looks VFR, as well as the northern Bering Sea. And most of the western Bering and Aleutians are VFR. Marginal VFR for the Fox Islands, Pribilofs, some IFR there over Bristol Bay with marginal VFR for the Alaska Peninsula into the Aleutian Range. Kodiak Island IFR, east side, right along the coastline, otherwise marginal VFR, but VFR for Shelikof Strait, marginal VFR up into Cook Inlet, just north of Kenai, and looks like across Anchor Point, Broadview up toward Portage. And Whittier, though, more likely to see marginal VFR than Portage. And Prince William Sound pretty well marginal VFR'd in, and IFR up to Cape St. Elias, and VFR for the Panhandle, southern half of the state into the Copper River Basin, looking pretty good. And for the morning Saturday, northeast interior to the Arctic coast, IFR, Gulf of Alaska IFR, and that extends up into the central North Gulf Coast, and southeastern Prince William Sound area, stays VFR for the Panhandle, area of IFR, southeast Bering Sea into southern Bristol Bay along the north shore of the Alaska Peninsula, and then good VFR from the Chukchi Sea and the western Arctic coast are right on down across the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew Island, and Aleutians looking really good, still marginal VFR for the Fox Islands. The Pribilofs IFR starting to move into Attu Island, and then that kind of kicks off to the northeast, the main system up to the north there. Band of IFR pushing out of the Russian Far East across the northern Bering Sea and making landfall or pushing inland across the west coast, especially up to the north, and to a lesser extent down toward the Kuskokwim Delta coastline, staying VFR there. Adak, Unmak, Unalaska Islands up into the southwest coast, southern Alaska, and most of the interior looking good, VFR for Saturday afternoon. Panhandle, VFR, possible marginal VFR central and south coast, and also for the eastern North Gulf Coast, possible marginal VFR. Passes, Zanutuvik and Adigan, both marginal tomorrow. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, rainy, same forecast. VFR for windy, Isabel, and Mintasta, looking good with VFR flying. Tanita, another VFR day coming up. Portage, eastern entrance, marginal, otherwise VFR, especially on the west side. Chilkoot and White, another VFR day. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet, southern Alaska and the Panhandle. At the surface, all the way up to the Brooks Range there, almost into the North Slope, and then back down south of the Pribilof Islands again, but staying well north of the Aleutians. And for icing, just some scattered areas of light mixed icing, Kodiak Island, and across southern Alaska there in the Panhandle. Really nothing significant at all in the way of icing. About the same for turbulence that we'll see in a moment. Looking at the jet stream, northeasterlies up to 75 knots over the western Aleutians, otherwise light and variable. The main jet either east or south of the area. And same thing at 9,000 feet. Light winds across all of the forecast area. 3,000 feet. Northwest, maybe 20 knots there across St. Matthew Island, 30 knots out of the north across the Alaska Peninsula, and 15 to 20 up along the Arctic coast. Turbulence-wise, pretty smooth over much of interior Alaska. No moderate chop at all in the forecast except for the Alaska Peninsula with those stronger, more rougher conditions there.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Sea ice analysis today. Again, almost gone along the southwest coast and fading away in Norton Sound there, but still some heavy ice north shore of St. Lawrence Island into the Bering Strait and, of course, Chukchi Sea. So moving on to the coastal water forecast for the Panhandle. Light winds on the south coast, west-southwest at 10 knots with 5 to 6 foot seas. Light winds on the north coast as well with south to southeast winds at 10 knots, seas 5 feet. Inside waters, light variable winds, 5 to 10 knots with slight seas. And the outlook for Saturday. For the inner channels, Lincoln Island Glacier Bay, north winds at 15 knots, and same thing for Stevens Passage. Clarence Strait, looking at a northwest breeze at 15 knots with 3 foot seas. For the south coast, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, seas up to 7 feet, and northwest at 15 knots for the north coast, seas 5 to 6 feet. Prince William Sound, light variable winds with slight seas tomorrow. Cook Inlet, southwest breeze at 15 knots with 2 to 3 foot seas. Light variable winds for Kamishak Bay with 2 foot seas. And for the North Gulf Coast, variable winds 10 to 15 knots, seas down to 4 feet, and Barren Islands northeast winds 15 knots with 4 foot seas. And a little bit of an increase in the winds on Saturday. Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands, small craft advisories, as well as the western North Gulf Coast. West winds picking up to 25 knots, 6 to 8 foot seas in those areas. Otherwise, Cook Inlet still looking at a southwest breeze in the afternoon at 10 to 15 knots with seas 2 to 4 feet. Prince William Sound, variable to west breeze at 10 knots with west 15 knot winds for the eastern North Gulf Coast. Kodiak Island, northeast winds 15 knots, seas 5 feet. Alaska Peninsula, northwest winds 20 to 25 knots, seas 6 feet. And for Bristol Bay, variable winds at 10 knots with 2 foot seas. Saturday's outlook, Kodiak Island, west winds up to 25 knots with 7 foot seas. In the Alaska Peninsula, west-northwest winds at 20 knots with seas running 4 to 6 feet. Bristol Bay, west winds 20 knots, seas 5 feet. Eastern Aleutians for tomorrow, northwest winds 15 to 25 knots with seas 6 to 8 feet. But light variable winds for Adak and Atka at 10 knots. Same thing for Amchitka Island, really laying down in the central Aleutians tomorrow with high pressure and seas down to 4 to 5 feet. From Kiska to Shimia, winds will be west at 15 knots. And then for Saturday, small craft advisories develop from Shimei to Kiska, southwesterlies, picking up to 25 knots, and then west 20 knots from Chitka Island. Central Aleutians, 10 to 20 knot southwest winds, and for the Fox Islands, variable to west winds at 10 to 20 knots, with seas running 4 to 8 feet. And for the Pribilofs tomorrow, north winds 15 knots, seas 3 feet. And for the Yukon Delta coast and St. Lawrence Island, northwest winds of 15 knots. Light variable wind conditions for St. Matthew Island at 10 knots. And then the outlook for Saturday, southwest winds 20 to 25 knots for the southwest coast. Small craft advisories for St. Matthew Island and the Pribilof Islands. Southwesterlies at 25 knots, 4 to 7 foot seas. Southwest winds 20 knots for St. Lawrence Island with seas at about 4 feet. Norton Sound looking at a southwest breeze at 15 knots. For the Arctic coast tomorrow, east winds 20 knots from Cape Thompson to Wales. Winds will be northwest at 15 knots. And then the outlook for Saturday, from Wales to Cape Thompson, south winds 15 knots. From Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort, south winds 20 knots. And then the western Arctic coast looking at a southwest breeze of 15 knots. Southeast 15 on the central coast, turning east at 15 for the eastern Beaufort Sea. And then for tonight, still some flurry conditions up over the north slope and mainly eastern Arctic coast, but those amounts are light. Scattered rain and snow showers in the central interior, into the Wrangell Mountains and up around the Eagle area. But again, those amounts will be light, as well as whatever shower activity falls over the Panhandle. Showers Kodiak Island, snow and rain showers, Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, and tomorrow with high pressure dominating the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. Chance of afternoon isolated thunderstorms and some of the taller clouds that develop over the mountainous terrain of southeast Alaska, the southeast interior, with increase in the showers over the Panhandle tomorrow. And then a system pushes across the Bering Strait from Russia on Saturday. That'll bring an increase in the winds and snow and rain into the across the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island, into the Seward Peninsula, and especially the western Arctic coast, Noatak Valley. Otherwise, fair conditions.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.